Hello, everybody. My name is Gary Fowler, and it is great to be here one more time. I'm a serial entrepreneur and investor. I've done 17 companies, been involved in 2 unicorns on the original management team of Click Software, sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion about 4 years ago, a little less than 4 years ago. I was on the original team, and also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company. Love artificial intelligence and quantum computing, and it's great to have you here today for my show. And I've got an exciting guest all the way from Shanghai, China. And he's not Chinese, he's actually from Denmark. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to my friend, Nick Laursen. Hey, Nick, how you doing today?
Hey, Gary, doing well, 7 a.m. in China.
I guess a cock-a-doodle-doo, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's early morning.
What's going on in China today? We hear a lot of things. I know you were in Shanghai. I believe you're still there, correct?
That's correct.
What's happening in Shanghai? How's it growing? Can you paint a picture of what it's like there? What's life like?
So Shanghai is an exciting city. I mean, I've been here now for 8 years and seeing the tremendous development over that short period, less than a decade, has been quite eye-opening from where I'm from, which is a suburb just outside of Copenhagen. So being here in Shanghai is a fast-moving, exciting land of opportunity, or city of opportunity, so to speak. I've been in Beijing, lived in Beijing for about a year, and there are noticeable differences. Of course, Beijing is an exciting culture center, but finance, which is the industry that both you and I are in terms of investing, Shanghai is definitely an interesting place to be, or the right place to be in China. And I had the pleasure of being, I think, 6 months in Shenzhen as well, which is the Chinese version of the Silicon Valley, where you're based, but more on the hardware side than the software side, really.
That's incredible. So, do you like it there, Nick? Is it? Have you adjusted to life in China?
Nearly. I mean, I love the challenge. I really love the challenge of being here. There's so many interesting people, so much to do in the space that I operate in, and besides having to eat a little Western food now and again, I've accustomed quite well. Of course, there are systems and rules to be followed. Under COVID last year, it was just stay home and work from home constantly. But since the serious lockdown last year, I think it was, it's been business as usual.
You even forgot, Nick. You even forgot it was last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Seems like a long time ago. It seems like a long time ago today. So, yeah. In terms of the environment, like business, are the rules different? So if I'm in Europe, how much different are the rules compared to Copenhagen or London or Paris?
So the business rules is more or less the same, in the sense that you cannot do criminal, illegal stuff. But in terms of seeing where the opportunity lies, it's very much top down. So you follow the policies, and in the industries that we are in, there are some tremendous policy changes that now opens up some very interesting markets in new energy, for example, that we are now following. So that's a little bit different, where in Europe, it's more on a market basis. Okay, we try and come up with something innovative, we go for it, see if it happens. Here in China, it's more like, okay, now this market is open. A lot of people flock to it because there's a lot of capital available from the government side. All these companies grows up like mushrooms. The winners grow even faster and bigger and taller. and then they start consolidating. You've seen in a couple of industries such as Didi, Meituan. You've seen it in internet as well. You saw it with bicycles. You see it now with the EV companies. So this is the way that they are spurring innovation, and yeah.
That's amazing. And so, just curious about the life. What do you do? So what do you do for fun? What's like a fun time? Do you go out to a bar? Do you travel around the country? Hey, let's go to the Great Wall for the weekend. I mean, what do you do for fun?
Yeah, good question. I mean, just last week we were in Hangzhou. Although it was on a business trip, we mixed it with a little bit of a walk by the West Lake, which is a very beautiful lake in the sense of Hangzhou. Um, I enjoy hanging out with friends. Yeah, there's plenty of bars here. All world's cuisine is basically here. So whether you want Uzbeki or Kazakh or Indian, Danish food as well, to American, Brazilian, it's all here. So it's a good place to be. It's a good melting pot.
And so they have like a diner, like an American diner. I know in Russia they have the Starlight diners, and they got this food in there, this fast food that you would only see at truck stops.
Yeah.
But do they have those there?
They have a couple of those. Yes. Yeah.
Interesting. And so, and how do people accept you? I mean, it's like, are they accepting? Are the Chinese accepting of who you are and where you're from, or how does that? Are they cautious, or how do they treat you?
They treat me very well. I mean, of course, on the street you see various different behaviors from people. In the beginning, it was hard to getting used to having people taking pictures of me just in the metro and
pictures
on the street. Yeah, they would just secretly try and stand there and take pictures of me.
And why was that?
Some of them have never seen a foreigner before, or they thought I don't know. But
well, you're a celebrity. Did you go up and put the
I wish.
Say, let's take pictures together,
No, there are definitely foreign celebrities here, but I'm not one of them. But I think all foreigners have seen this before, or at least tried it on on their body, so to speak. That people are looking a bit extra long, staring, taking pictures, jaw drop. So I think
why is it they're taking the pictures? They don't watch movies or what?
I don't know. Maybe they want to send it to their friends and have a look. This is yeah, I don't know.
That's really interesting. And does it happen more when you're outside of Shanghai, like you're in some smaller city, or people coming up and taking pictures of you?
No, it happens. No, it happens everywhere. I mean, most notably, it was in Beijing when I noticed it the most, especially in the metros. It was
really wow. That's amazing. And is it because you're tall, or you're white, or what is it? Glasses, or what?
Maybe a mix of all of it. I don't know.
That's amazing. Well, I love to hear that. That's those are the kind of, I know when I lived in Russia a long time, and we would go outside of the city, and I'm dark, Greek American. So I would be outside of the city, Greek Egyptian American, and people, especially if I was dark, and they're like, "Oh, you're Italian," and you'd be, and they would have a conversation in English or try Italian, and it was amazing. You were like, because there were no people like you in the middle of Siberia.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my fiance, she's from Dazhou, right? Which is a 5 million city in the middle of Sichuan that nobody has ever heard of. I didn't hear of it until I met her.
But there, I don't in-person city that nobody's heard of.
Yeah, I mean, have you heard of Dazhou?
Never.
Nah, exactly.
I've heard of the Dow Jones, but I never heard of Dow Joe.
Exactly. It's nearly as large as Denmark, right? I think we're missing a couple 100,000, then we're there. And there it's I don't see it as much, Of course people stare, they look longer, but they don't take pictures. So yeah.
That's amazing. So did you meet your girlfriend, your fiance there in Beijing or Shanghai?
Shanghai, Shanghai, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was good.
And do you speak Chinese?
Getting there. I mean, it's a lifelong journey to learn this language, right? It's incredibly deep and diverse. You know, you have dialects, you have, you know, a couple of two different, you know, type of writings, and you know, you have Shanghainese, which doesn't sound anything like Mandarin. Then you have Cantonese, you have Sichuanese. You know, Northern speaks differently. So it's I'm getting there. You know, let me put it that way. It's a
That's
journey.
that's great. So, tell me a little bit about. So you went to Huddersfield, which is near Manchester. You were saying, and all the way to Copenhagen to your Master of Science in Applied Economics, and so you went through that journey. But what made you decide to go to China?
So I think the urge for, you know, adventure started very early.
Hmm.
Um, you know, traveling through Europe with my parents. Then I worked, you know, 8 years in insurance from, you know, 15 to 23. Part-time, started part-time, and then was finally an accredited financial advisor. And I decided, okay, let me go into academia. Now I've been so many years in corporate, although I was still very young. Um, so I moved to Manchester. From there, I moved to Paris, back to Manchester, back to Copenhagen. Was there for about a year and a half ish, maybe a year, and the urge to get out was tremendous. In 2007 was the first time I was on a study trip to China with my high school. So I then, you know, knew a little bit about China, although it was Beijing. It was very different back then. I uh, I went around, asked my supervisors, okay, if I take this, you know, uh, um, how to say, the exchange program, MBA program in a different place, what what kind of universities do you have? So, you know, it ended up being a race between, I think, Cornell, Columbia, Hong Kong, one in Singapore, and then Shanghai Advanced University for Finance. And you know, the cost benefit analysis landed on Shanghai. Reason being, you know, Shanghai is, as we talked about, is a financial hub. It's a growing market. It's an exciting market. It's a bit different from where I've been in the past. And I applied. I got in. I bought a one-way ticket. Announced it at my farewell party that I'm not coming back.
Wow, that
And and I've been here ever since. You know, people were laughing back then. Yeah, yeah, you will be back soon. You don't know anybody in this city. You don't know what you're doing. But now, you know, nearly 9 years later, I'm still here, and I've been, you know, building a business on my own for the last 3.5 years ish, 2.5 years. Yeah.
wow, that's great. And do you have a visa, or how do you stay there? Citizenship or residency?
No,
Or
you cannot get. So I think they just opened up for the green card. I might be able to apply for that next time, but otherwise it's just a temporary permanent residence or something like that.
and
It's
how
just
long
an.
is it? Can you stay a long time? Is it a year, 2 years, 6 months, or how does it work?
It's used. So it used to be you have to renew every year, but I'm lucky enough now to have 2 years, so I don't have to think about it for 2 years.
That's fantastic. Well, congratulations. So tell me a little bit about, let's talk about the business and some of the things you're working on today. And, so Laursen, you got two things. So you got Laursen that you're the managing partner of, but you got also Artemo. And
Artmo, yeah.
so let's talk about them.
Let's do it. So let's start with Atmo. So when I left um, the Chinese family office I used to work for here, I, you know, then joined Atmo, found Klaus, Raschler, and Conrad sitting in a co-working space. on this little project called Ardmore. And they just had gone through a tremendous incident in their business on the IT side. But I thought the idea was very exciting. So I pulled my energy, resources into it, and we then start building the strategy, start talking to potential partners, investors, and really, got structured. And now the team has grown from just the three of us plus a couple of interns to now having, I think, nearly 10 people sitting in Portugal. We are just launching a new IT infrastructure, so we're able to scale. It's a really exciting business now. Now we are ready to really grow the way that it should be. Gone through 2 financing rounds, and I'm helping them where I can. But it's been more on the IT and back end side for the last nearly 18 months. So yeah, I joined them, still helping them. But then the team was going to Portugal. I wanted to stay in China. So I then at the time was helping a Singaporean-based PE firm called IJK. And then there I met Gerard van Sweden. So Laursen van Sweden is the mixture of my last name, Danish last name, and a Dutch last name put together. But let's just say LVS for short. That's a bit easier for everybody. And we came together because we saw the expansion opportunity. A bit like you have done, right? Focus on getting shit done, focus on execution, because without it, nothing is really going to happen. We can plan, we can strategize from now until the end of days, but until you actually start, putting things into action, no result will be made. So we came together under that premise that we would invest in foreign companies in the expansion into China and really help them in a 360 from legal, finance, operation, PD, COO, the whole suite. And we've been quite successful, I would say, in this short time we've been operating. So we have now, I think, 10 portfolio expansions. We have 2 funds. We are raising a 3rd global fund. And as I mentioned just a bit earlier, we now have a rare license to operate Chinese funds that we are now looking at activating somehow. So we basically actively invest. We are the entrepreneurs for foreign businesses in China, growing them.
That's great. So entrepreneur, you want to go to China, Nick's the one to talk to. He's got an opportunity for able to get you in China. He's got the contacts. Having been part of the local framework is really important whenever you're doing business in a foreign country, because there's a lot of nuances, a lot of challenges, a lot of opportunities, and a guy like Nick will move you in the right direction. That's fantastic. So what are your plans, Nick? How big is your business? Where are you going to take the business? Is it only going to stay in China, or what are you going to do? Is it going to go to Africa, or is it going to go to Europe, or where's it going to be?
So we have ambitious plans, but we invest globally from our overseas funds from a China perspective, but we see that China being a key to that. So we will definitely have a great majority of our resources, staff, operations inside China. But we have invested in Israel. We have invested in Europe, a couple of different places, in Australia as well. We're looking at opportunities in North America. So we are geographically agnostic. Where it will go, I don't know. We are just getting started. I think we're on a long journey to build something very interesting. something that I think a lot of companies have been waiting for in terms of active investors, a bit like you guys, getting shit done, executing, helping, actually helping, and not just, sitting on a quarterly meeting and say, why have you not done this? Why have you not done that? What is your, plans for next quarter? And then, pump them over the head and say, why did you not achieve it? Or yeah. So we take it on us to achieve many of the strategic results, which we enjoy. We enjoy being on the front line. We enjoy being in the boonies. We enjoy being in the factories, negotiating with state-owned enterprises, with, small businesses, distributors, financiers, the whole suite. We enjoy it. We really enjoy it.
Well, I mean, that's important because, look at what's happened to us over the last 18 months with the pandemic. The walls are being broken down. We're dealing more on a global basis. Think about the pace of change, Nick, with the amount of data around us today. There's 49 zettabytes of data on the planet. People say, well, what's a zettabyte? Well, if you took CDs or DVDs and stuck them one on top of another, it would go 29 times between Earth and the moon.
Wow.
35 times between the Earth and the moon. So we got a lot of data, and it's grown at 68% per year. We're in a state of infobesity, so it doesn't matter where you are. It matters if you have that intuition, if you got the experience, and if you also got the technology to make stuff happen. I almost said shit, which it is. So and it's but this is an incredible time. So startups that are out there, think about it. You now have a opportunity using Zoom and technologies out there to be able to reach anybody anywhere. Having a good local presence like Nick in those environments is important. I mean, what we're doing, Nick, is we're really looking for growth stage companies at GSD that we curate, take them to Silicon Valley. Delaware Corporation, Silicon Valley is a port to the rest of the world, and also with our accelerator, because we find that those companies coming from places out, we're taking them not into China, but we're taking them from all over the world and using the port of Silicon Valley and then taking them out. So it's an exciting time today. It's a great time if you're an entrepreneur. It's a great time if you're an investor. There are incredible deals out there. China's untapped. Africa, we deal a lot in Africa. There are 1.3 billion people in Africa, and it's untapped. So guys, get out. Nick's an explorer. He's like the Indiana Jones of entrepreneurship and investing, and that's a good thing. I've been there, done it myself a few times, all through Russia, from Kaliningrad to Vladivostok. And there's a great opportunity, but get out and do it. Don't just talk about it. It's a matter of execution. It's a matter of who really does it. And Nick, it's great that you're doing it. It's great that you feel comfortable. One last thing. When you have the food in China, is it spicy or not?
Yes. Sichuan cuisine is extremely spicy. Hunan as well. I think there's one other province where it's really spicy. Medium to low spiciness in terms of levels. I'm not very, very good with the extreme spiciness.
Well, I'll tell you, with the food, I got to tell you, some great opportunities for cuisine. What a cosmopolitan environment. It's great to have had you on my show today. I really appreciate it. So we're coming to the top of the hour, Nick. So in closing, what thoughts would you like to leave my audience with, and how can people get a hold of you?
So we use LinkedIn a lot. We are just starting an Instagram, but otherwise our website as well, lbspartners.com. The same for Laursen from Sweden for LinkedIn, and I think the same for our Instagram. Closing thought, actually, I have a question for you, Gary. So you've done this a lot, this podcast, a lot, these live streams. You talk with a lot of people. So what is the general themes across all of your conversation? What is it that you see? What is it that you learn from this? And second to that, what keeps you going?
So what I learn about is that we're inundated with data. We're in a state of infobesity, and that each one of us, Nick, I mean, think about it in your own world. You're a smart guy. master's degree, you've lived around the world. But think about it. How many times every week does somebody say, Nick, I sent you a message. Where did you send it? I sent it to your email. Which one? I sent it to your Gmail account. When did you send it? I sent it a week and a half ago. The next thing, what do you say? Can you send it again? Because
Yes.
we are inundated with information. And so we need to go down through across the board, AI, machine learning, to be able to help us decipher what our lives are, how they're being affected with data. And we're going to have two classes of society, the people that understand and people don't. And my thing is, from my perspective, let's make the world a better place so we all understand. As I said, that number, you got about 300,000 items in your personal cloud. The entire web in 1996 was 257,000 websites. You, Nick, have more information than the web in 96, and that number doubles every year. In 5 years, you're going to have 10 million items. Think about it. If it's this much of a challenge today, what's going to happen then? So we've got to take an entirely new look at how we look at data and how we're able to synthesize it, and having these unsupervised, intelligent assistants that are kind of like, will be like a compassionate mother or grandmother. They'll look out for you. They'll be like guardian angels to help you understand what's around you and act upon it, because we're overwhelmed now. So I see that across the board. I also see that we've got so many opportunities in space, 6 billion Earth-like planets in the Milky Way, 200 trillion galaxies in the universe. There's a lot of exploration, and we've all started this journey, Branson, Bezos, Musk. So we've started the journey, and it's a good thing. And we need to get along better as a planet. We need to take care of each other and help each other if we want to survive. So take care of each other, help each other. And what drives me, I'm like the Indiana Jones mentality too. I like to do things. I'm inquisitive. Keep that curiosity that you got as a child, and ask questions and check things out and research. Because when you don't do that anymore, that's when you start to get old. And the situation, I've never changed. I've always been the same way, and just love it. I'm very, very curious, like yourself. And part of it's the adventure. It's a series of books, and we're just in one of the chapters of the book. So
exactly, I agree. Thank you for that, Gary. I echo much of what you say as well.
Yeah. So thanks, and thank you again for coming on the show. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm your host for GSD Presents Silicon Valley AI and Tech. And tune in tomorrow. I got another special guest. A friend of mine has sold his company to Zoom for $14.7 billion. The company that he founded was sold, and it's going to be interesting to have him on the show, from going from an apartment to having a company sold for $14.7 billion. So tune in tomorrow, and John will be a very interesting guest. Stay happy, everyone. Stay healthy and stay safe. Take care of yourself. Take care of your friends. Move forward, and tune in tomorrow. Thanks again, Nick. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Gary.